Good morning. This video is of lesson 9 in continuity with the previous respiratory terms like tidal volume, inspiratory reserve volume, expiratory reserve volume. The next term is residual volume. Residual volume का मतलब है जो volume air का lungs में हमेशा रहता है and that is about 1100 to 1200 ml. Now next is inspiratory capacity, that is IC. IC stands for inspiratory capacity, that is total volume of air a person can inspire after a normal expiration. Then this includes TV plus IRV, that means tidal volume plus inspiratory reserve volume. So next is expiratory capacity, means the total volume of air which a person can expire after a normal inspiration, which will include tidal volume plus ERV, that is expiratory reserve volume. Next is FRC. FRC stands for functional residual capacity, means volume of air that will remain in the lungs after a normal expiration, and this includes ERV, expiratory reserve volume, plus residual volume. So vital capacity is the total capacity of the lungs. Vital capacity means volume of a person which can breathe after a forced expiration. Then this will include three terms, that is ERV, TV plus IRV. It means expiratory reserve volume, tidal volume and inspiratory reserve volume. So next is total lung capacity, means total volume of air accommodated in our lungs at the end of a forced inspiration. So this will include above all the terms like RV, residual volume, ERV, TV and IRV, or total vital capacity and residual volume. So next topic is transport of gases, that means transport of oxygen and carbon dioxide. So when we talk of oxygen, so mostly 97% of oxygen is transported by RBCs in the blood, and remaining 3% of oxygen is carried out in a dissolved state through the plasma. So this diagram, here's a diagram showing oxygen dissociation curve. This oxygen dissociation curve shows the partial pressure of oxygen and percentage saturation of hemoglobin with oxygen. So all of you know that hemoglobin is a red colored iron containing pigment present in the RBC, and it can bind with hemoglobin in a reversible manner to form oxyhemoglobin. So each hemoglobin molecule can carry a maximum 4 molecules of oxygen. So this oxygen dissociation curve, it is sigmoid curve or it is S-shaped curve, and this curve is called the oxygen dissociation curve, and it is highly useful in studying the effect of factors like PCO2, H concentration, etc. on binding of oxygen with hemoglobin. Now what happens in the alveoli where there is high PO2, low PCO2, lesser hydrogen concentration and lower temperature, these factors are all favorable for the formation of oxyhemoglobin. So in the tissues, these factors are in low concentration, so there is dissociation of oxyhemoglobin. When hemoglobin combines with oxygen, it forms oxyhemoglobin, and when oxyhemoglobin dissociates in the tissues, it liberates oxygen and hemoglobin. So this was the transport of oxygen. Next is the transport of carbon dioxide. Now carbon dioxide is transported in three ways. 20 to 25% of carbon dioxide is transported by RBC, whereas 70% of carbon dioxide is transported in form of bicarbonate, and the rest about 7% of carbon dioxide is carried in a dissolved state through plasma. So when carbon dioxide combines with hemoglobin, a compound is formed which is called carbaminohemoglobin. This binding is related to the partial pressure of a carbon dioxide. PO2 is a major, PO2 means partial pressure of oxygen, is a major factor which could affect this binding. When PCO2 is high and PO2 is low in the tissues, then more binding of carbon dioxide will occur. Whereas the PCO2 is low and PO2 is high in the alveoli, so in the alveoli there will be dissociation of carbaminohemoglobin. So there is an enzyme, carbonic anhydrase, which will favor the combination of carbon dioxide with water. So this carbonic anhydrase and it remains quantities of the same is present in the plasma too. This enzyme facilitates the following reaction, that is carbon dioxide plus water in the presence of carbonic anhydrase. It will form carbonic acid which will further dissociate into H plus HCO3. So at the tissue site where PCO2 is high due to metabolism, so carbon dioxide diffuses into blood, and at the alveolar site where PCO2 is low, the reaction proceeds in the opposite direction, leading to the formation of carbon dioxide and water. So next is regulation of respiration. All the respiratory activities are controlled by few centers. One center is present in the medulla region, which is called pneumotaxic center, which moderates the function of respiratory system, and a chemosensitive area is also situated adjacent to the rhythm center, which is highly sensitive to carbon dioxide. So increase in these substances can activate this center, which in turn can signal the rhythm center to make necessary adjustments in the receptors associated with aortic and carotid artery. So we have a pneumotaxic center which is responsible for the regulation, and next is disorders of respiratory system. मतलब रेस्पिरेटरी सिस्टम में जब कोई प्रॉब्लम्स हो जाती हैं तो हमें क्या क्या बीमारी हो सकती है. वन इज़ अस्थमा. आप सबको पता है अस्थमा आजकल बच्चों को भी और बड़ों को भी बहुत कॉमन प्रॉब्लम है. इसमें क्या होता है, देयर इज़ अ डिफ़िकल्टी इन ब्रीदिंग एंड विच कॉजेज वीजिंग, एंड दिस इज़ ड्यू टू द इन्फ्लेमेशन ऑफ ब्रोंकाई एंड ब्रोंक्यूल्स. ये पॉलन एलर्जी से भी अस्थमा होता है. सेकेंड है एम्फीसीमा. एम्फीसीमा इज़ अ डिजीज़ इन विच एल्वुलर वॉल्स होते हैं वो डैमेज हो जाते हैं, ड्यू टू विच रेस्पिरेटरी सरफेस जितना चाहिए होता है एक्सचेंज ऑफ गैसेस के लिए वो कम हो जाता है. और वन ऑफ द मेजर कॉज ऑफ एम्फीसीमा इज सिगरेट स्मोकिंग. सो लास्ट वन इज occupational respiratory disorders. The persons working in the factories face this problem, and there's inflammation. Long exposure can give rise to inflammation, leading to the proliferation of fibrous tissues and thus causes serious lung damage. So workers working in the industries, they should wear masks for the prevention against this disease. So today we have studied about some terms used in respiration, oxygen dissociation curve, and respiratory disorders. Thank you.